What brings you here, traveler? So Logan Paul finally caught up to me, huh? Even after everything he did, he isn't satisfied yet. He wants me to suffer more. What a cruel bastard he is. Well, I won't stop you in your duties. But will you hear the story of this old man one last time? This is my final request. Here, have a seat, and thanks for fulfilling my last wish. You truly are as honorable as people told me you were. You know, even I had a family once, a happy family. I had a wife and some kids. I was a YouTuber with 700 subscribers. I was living a good life. It wasn't much, but it was peaceful. Until a very fateful day in the year 2021 when Logan announced Cryptozoo. Everyone was excited.
The thing that I'm most excited for, and this is the first time I've ever said anything about this. For the last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project that I believe is going to change the game.
Promises were made.
Because we're finishing up the development, but I am so excited about this project. It's so fun. It provides a yield with a token, can earn you money.
I had my doubts, yes, but then I thought there is no way a guy with those big numbers can ever be wrong. So what was this thing called Cryptozoo? Well, it was a crypto NFT game which worked in strange ways.
This is how it was supposed to work. You started by buying this crypto token called Zoo, which is their in-game currency, and you use Zoo coins to then buy egg NFTs, which you can then hatch to become animals. You then can breed those two animals to become hybrid animals. For example, if you breed a gorilla and a kitten, you get a gore kitty. And the more rare the NFT, the higher the daily yield of Zoo tokens that animal earns you every day. Theoretically, it works like almost like passive income. You can then burn your animal NFTs to release the Zoo they earned back to you, and from there you can invest it into eggs or just cash out.
Well, back then I had no idea what it meant and how it worked. That's why I showed you that video instead of explaining it myself. Because I still have no idea how it worked. All I knew was I buy these crypto coins with real money, then I had to buy those eggs from those crypto coins, and after buying those eggs, I had to hatch them. And after doing it a couple more times, I was supposed to make a lot of money. But did it actually work?
If he was making money with Cryptozoo, how much he made, and if the passive yield worked.
Oh, it never did from the beginning. It wasn't even written into the contract where it showed that you were actually yielding Zoo, but there was nothing that was actually, backing that up. There was no way to claim your yield. There never was.
And this wasn't the only part which didn't work. Almost everything which was promised in the Cryptozoo never actually worked. So before moving any further, if you are enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. So let's start with the false promises Logan made for Cryptozoo. It's a really fun game that's make you money.
I am so excited about this project. It's so fun. It's a really fun game that makes you money. I'm excited to launch my game.
You keep using and you just did it again. You keep using a word there. Game. You're not using like a project. It's a game.
It's a game. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
A fun game that earns you money? How much did you guys make from Cryptozoo?
I lost around $50,000 in Cryptozoo.
I lost $40,000.
And I lost around 15,000 US dollars.
I lost $25,000.
$120,000.
$500,000 Australian, which is $500,000 in Cryptozoo.
Shut up! No, you haven't!
Yeah, 500K.
Oh, no.
Now maybe he was talking to himself because I really can't find anyone who made money from this game except Logan. Like I tried to look it up and nothing. The only people who actually made something from this game were probably the people who actually knew Logan Paul and had like insider information or something. I have been working on this game for the past 6 months.
The thing that I'm most excited for, and this is the first time I've ever said anything about this. For the last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project that I believe is going to change the game.
Yup, there is no way that bro spent more than 6 days on this because anyone who was following this drama back then knows that it's all caps. Like the game never even came out. And I'm pretty sure that I'm making more efforts in the making of this video than Logan did with Cryptozoo. We handmade art for the past 6 months, bro.
It's quick to make a digital asset with, you know, unique, randomly generated characteristics. We handmade art for the past 6 months, bro. Approval, very specific notes, 10 different artists making art for our project.
Okay, I won't even say anything. Instead, I will just show you the so-called handmade art.
So I went to check out what $1 million game looks like. I went to their Instagram, and to my surprise, the photos of Cryptozoo are basically a bunch of stock photos from Adobe that have been poorly photoshopped, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, look at this. Penguin plus shark. Penguin shark. Need I say more? Video over, actually. We're video, not, that's it. Look, these are Adobe photoshopped stock photos, ladies and gentlemen. Poorly photoshopped, might I add. Like, look at their white paper. Meet the panda font, and then you have this abomination. The naming is about as original as the artwork, which is not at all. Now, to confirm these were taken from Adobe, I went and I hunted down this exact image. And here it is, cute giant panda bear climbing in a tree. Does it look familiar, ladies and gentlemen? Can you see similarities here? Can you tell that this is the same exact image? I mean, look, at this point, Logan Paul is creating Squidward levels of art here. He's taking someone else's work, slapping a nose on it, and calling it art, and then selling the idea for millions of dollars to his fans.
Yep, that is the handmade art. Like, it is the level of Photoshop I do in my thumbnails. He literally just took stock photos from Adobe website and photoshopped them. Like, I don't even know why he hired 10 artists for this. Like, I could have done this for, like, I don't know, maybe in $10,000. Like, I could have done it all. I don't even need 10 people under me to do this, man. This is definitely a lie. There is no way that 10 people saw this and were like, yeah, good enough, man. Just launch the part of it. I spent over $1 million for this.
We have a massive team behind it and are probably out of pocket like $1 million just because we believe it's going to work.
On development.
Yeah.
We've put hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. Personally, the whole team, $1 million plus.
To be fair, he used the term out of pocket instead of spending, so maybe what he meant was that he took $1 million out and put it somewhere else, because there is no way it was spent on this game, because as far as I researched, he didn't even develop his own blockchain source code.
So wait, maybe he spent it on blockchain stuff, right? That's what I thought. But then I audited the smart contract, and it's not handmade at all. It's not even original. It's what's called a fork, a copy of, you know, some other code that exists out there. One of them is called Floki Shib X, which launched before it. So
he just copied it from somewhere. So basically the $1 million he is talking about are nowhere to be seen near Cryptozoo, and especially not in the art. So first, let's talk about the involvement of Coffeezilla in all of this mess. As you can see, I'm using quite a lot of Coffeezilla's clip to explain stuff here. It is because he was investigating all of this when it was happening in his 3-part series about Cryptozoo. Now, I'm not going to explain everything he said and did in details. I'm just going to give you guys the important information which you need to know in order to understand the drama between Coffeezilla and Logan Paul. Don't worry, we will talk more about this later, but for now, let's take a look at the pre-launch of Cryptozoo. So what basically happened is people started investing money in it even before it was launched.
you might think, how can I lose? Which is why when people were told all you had to do to play was buy an egg, people spent millions. Just on the first launch between ETH and Zoo, people bought $2.5 million worth of eggs in the first day. And did I mention the game hadn't even been launched yet? All people were buying was the marketing and the promises. And it wasn't just the NFTs they bought either. The Zoo token also skyrocketed in value, reaching a $2 billion market cap pre-game launch, right? The trading volume was in the tens of millions of dollars per day, which kind of is like Fortnite not coming out, but people trading tens of millions of dollars in V-Bucks every day. That's what this was like. And I know it sounds stupid to buy an influencer project, but you have to understand, people saw Logan as different.
So there was a teaser for something called the Hatch Day, and during this time, Coffeezilla was also in contact with Logan's community manager.
Now at the time I'm looking into this, there's a teaser going around for Hatch Day. which is the day you can hatch your egg NFTs. And it kind of symbolized the true launch of Cryptozoo. So I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where they spent all the money on their game. Even their community manager, Ben Roth, promised people, after hatch day, things will take a turn for the 180. So I put Ben Roth on the board too. I needed to know all the characters in Cryptozoo. And I waited. And finally, on November 3rd, 2021, Ben Roth turned out to be right. Things did take a turn on hatch day, only for the worse.
Now it may surprise some of you, but the game never even worked.
Let's meet one of the victims, Helicopter Bob, to explain more.
My name is Rob. Helicopter Bob lost just under $7,000 with Cryptozoo.
And the first thing I asked Bob was about his animals, if he was making money with Cryptozoo, how much he made, and if the passive yield worked.
Oh, it never did from the beginning. It wasn't even written into the contract where it showed that you were actually yielding zoo, but there was nothing that was actually, backing that up. There was no way to claim your yield. There never was.
Wait. Play that again. Did you hear that?
There was no way to claim your yield. There never was.
Hold on. The core mechanic of Cryptozoo, that you can make money with these stupid animals, didn't even work on launch day. And still, to this day, a year later, still does not work, is what the investors are saying. Which, this is just crazy. People spent millions of dollars on these eggs.
Rob the Helicopter Bob. Dude, this name is like fire. Like, how dare Logan take this guy's money? Like this is the coolest name I have ever heard in my entire life. Really, jokes aside, but as you heard, there was no way to claim the yield. Now, I'm not making this stuff up. I'm just utilizing the publicly available information on the internet. Because not being able to claim the yield can be considered a scam. Now, you might have noticed that I haven't used this word scam till now, and it wasn't due to my scripting error or the authenticity of Cryptozoo. I haven't used it till now because that is one of the reasons Logan decided to sue Coffeezilla. But wait, why did he sue Coffeezilla for the word scam? Well, to understand the lawsuit properly, you need to understand the context and the reason for the defamation lawsuit. Okay, so during the time when Coffee made his initial 3-part series, Logan Paul was already threatening to sue Coffeezilla for defamation, but it actually never worked, and even after his 3-part series, Coffee continued to cover the drama. In the videos like Logan Paul apologized to me, Logan Paul's scam isn't over, and Logan Paul's quote-unquote refund. In these, he explained how Logan said he will issue refund, but he actually never did. And Coffee waited for like 6 months before making a video about Logan Paul's refund, where he explained that Coffee asked for the refund plans from Logan and his team, and soon after he was blocked.
6 months ago, I investigated Cryptozoo, a scam created by Logan Paul and a team of criminals, and a dude named Jeff, which ultimately resulted in millions of dollars being stolen from fans. I was threatened with a lawsuit for exposing it, but ultimately, Logan Paul decided to thank me instead for his public undressing and announced a $1.8 million refund to the victims. Now, I thought that was a great ending to the story, but I also said this: I'll follow up in the future to make sure that he actually gives that money away, and that's why we're here today. It's been 6 months, so here's a follow-up. Logan Paul has not paid back his victims. He hasn't talked about it since he first announced he was going to pay them back, and what's worst of all, he doesn't seem to have a plan in place to refund anyone. Logan Paul is refunding people he scammed if they promise to stop suing him for the vastly larger amount he may owe them, and honestly, I'm conflicted. Because on the one hand, victims getting money is always great, and I'm proud that our investigation led to some real-world consequences. But I can't pretend that things are fixed or fine for people who entrusted me with their story when that's just not true.
Now, this playlist ended with a video titled Logan Paul Sued Me, and Logan Paul even hired like 5 lawyers.
Logan Paul is suing me for Cryptozoo only a year after he thanked me for it. Rather than pay back his victims fully, Logan would rather publicly humiliate himself in court by accusing me of defaming him. He's hired 5 lawyers to sue me, which he hopes will stop me from exposing him again. You see, only hours before this lawsuit was filed, I had reached out to Logan Paul about a new investigation into one of his companies, which has just been accused by the Canadian government of being a multi-layered fraud in Canada. I obviously had questions, but before I was able to get answers, Logan's team of lawyers showed up to silence me.
And these lawyers, let me tell you, these lawyers are the cream on the top because the stuff they do is just straight up hilarious. Like the statement they be releasing are just pure comedic. And I don't even blame them because if I was defending Logan Paul, I would be freaking out too.
This lawsuit says Logan Paul wants to hold me accountable for my actions. But what actions are those? Holding him accountable? It's ironic because his lawyers claim Logan has learned to believe in the importance of accountability. But accountability for who? Currently, Logan is fighting the victims of Cryptozoo in court, and now he's fighting the journalist who exposed him in the first place. Personally, I believe Logan has learned nothing from this except how to silence people with the law.
Now this is the best part because according to the lawyers, Logan actually learned accountability. Like, bro doesn't even understand the basic concept of accountability, which is own up to your mistakes and make it right.
But I won't be silenced because Logan's lawsuit makes no sense. We're going to go through it because from the beginning, there's problems. Logan's 5 lawyers tried to discredit me as a journalist. They paint me as someone who wanted money. They say I had a false and malicious narrative. But you know who doesn't believe that? You know who secretly praises me behind the scenes?
This journalist, YouTuber, crypto uncoverer guy named Coffeezilla, who's incredible, by the way. A very thorough, good-hearted, smart guy, did a deep dive into this project that I attempted to make called Cryptozoo.
That's right, it's Logan Paul. He's the biggest enemy of Logan Paul's defamation case. Who knew? Because defamation requires actual malice and a reckless disregard for the truth. But he just admitted on camera that I am thorough and good-hearted. Maybe that's why he wanted to remove that video from the internet, according to the YouTuber who released it.
The only issue that was ever communicated was remove this crypto stuff, remove this Cryptozoo stuff. If Cryptozoo is in there, if Coffeezilla's in there, I'm not going to promote it.
Yep, this is the very basic case of I used to like Coffeezilla, but then he made a video on me. Okay, so let's summarize the lawsuit really quickly with the help of the channel name Legal Bites. She is a lawyer by profession and she's covering this case properly. So if you want to have like quite deep insights into this, go over to her channel and watch it. But if you just want the bullet points to get the context of what I am talking about, I am your man right here. Okay, so the first statement bro was sued for is a freaking Twitter post. Like, what the hell, man? Imagine people started suing each other for actual Twitter posts. It would be the most hilarious shit ever.
The first was this one statement that Coffeezilla made on Twitter on June 29th, 2023. Here he said, Logan Paul really is the type of dude to thank you when you expose his scam, then block you when you remind him to pay up. So it seems that the issues that Logan Paul has with this particular statement are twofold. We've got Coffeezilla calling Cryptozoo a scam, and then we've got Coffeezilla asserting that Logan has ownership over the scam. It's not just a scam, it's his scam.
Now, I might not be the smartest person in the room, but if Cryptozoo isn't a scam, then there should be no reason to get mad at the second statement, which is basically saying that Logan Paul owns Cryptozoo. Like, if you claim that it wasn't a scam, why get mad if someone calls it your project? Like, shouldn't you be happy about it? Especially when you were the one who kept calling it your own project. Okay, so the second statement is a whole goddamn video.
The second statement that Logan says is defamatory is basically Coffeezilla's entire June 30th, 2023 video titled Logan Paul's Scam Isn't Over. Logan here says that not only is the title defamatory, but so is the line in the video where Coffeezilla calls Cryptozoo a scam created by Logan Paul. And Logan also says, Find Eisen left no doubt that he was accusing Paul of intentionally defrauding individuals who bought egg NFTs or Zoo tokens by referring to those people as Logan Paul's victims, declaring to his audience that Paul was guilty, and his offer to reimburse buyers of egg NFTs was an admission of guilt and stating that Paul was just pretending he'd changed.
Okay, again, but if Cryptozoo isn't a scam, why is he mad at Coffeezilla for calling it a Logan Paul's project? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so let's go over to the third statement, which is another video titled Logan Paul's Refund. As I mentioned before, Logan Paul haven't issued any refund to any victims yet.
The third statement that Logan Paul says is defamatory is basically all of Coffeezilla's January 5th, 2024 video titled Logan Paul's quote-unquote refund. Here's what Logan Paul has to say about this video. In the video, Findeisen accused Paul of orchestrating a massive con, referred to Paul as a serial scammer, and referred to those who bought Zoo tokens or Cryptozoo egg NFTs as the people Logan Paul scammed.
But why exactly is Logan Paul suing Coffeezilla? Like, is it actually the case of defamation or something else entirely? Well, to put it in very simple terms, he is suing Coffeezilla because he is actually very mad at him. He wants to destroy and bankrupt Coffeezilla. And I'm not saying this without any proofs.
Logan Paul's scummy text messages also got leaked, basically showing that he was not suing Coffeezilla because he thought he was defamed, but actually because he's a self-proclaimed petty billionaire who just wanted to ruin his life.
Paul also admitted that he's suing him just to make his life difficult. And he says Zilla will pay one way or another. I'll make sure of it. Bro, you're a billionaire. Paul responds with a petty billionaire.
I wonder how the jury is going to react to that one.
Paul says, I want people who wronged me to suffer while I continue getting wins on their grave.
Ooh, no way Logan is using the word grave after the Japan forest incident.
You know your life is actually over when more Pegasus start roasting your ass. But you remember I mentioned the lawyers of Logan Paul before, like how they are the best of the best. Well, I said it because the arguments they are giving against Coffee are just mwah. It's like top-notch arguments.
The reason that Findeisen misled the government so brazenly, of course, was that his goal was to prompt the government to investigate and build cases against plaintiffs specifically, whom he had never even spoken to about the project, in order to further harm plaintiff and, he hoped, ultimately claim credit and raise his own profile in the event the investigations resulted in criminal charges or civil penalties against him. And basically what he's getting at is Paul claims that Coffeezilla didn't give the government any information about any other bad actors on the Cryptozoo team, like Eddie Ibanez and Jake Greenbaum. And he says that because of that, Coffeezilla was sending the government down this rabbit hole to focus specifically on Logan Paul and to ignore everyone else on the Cryptozoo team.
So what they basically said is, okay, Your Honor, my client is maybe guilty, but Coffeezilla exposed my client to gain fame and money. Like, what the actual hell is this, man? It is the equivalent of saying that, oh, maybe he did commit robbery, but the man who caught him robbing the store only did it to get fame and money. Like, how does it even make sense, man? They are just admitting that Logan Paul might be guilty as hell. Even Legal Bites, a lawyer herself, was stunned by this argument.
I may or may not have been sitting on this video a little bit longer than I should have, rather than moving forward to publish it, in part because I've been trying to wrap my mind around this argument. Throughout my career as a litigator, I have often found myself in moments of pause when reading someone else's legal arguments that don't quite click for me. And the dilemma always is, am I just not understanding the other side's argument? Am I maybe clouded by something like bias maybe that's keeping me from seeing the other side clearly? Or does this argument just really suck that bad? But anyway, all of that is to say, I think I've landed in the place that this argument by Logan Paul, where he says that Coffeezilla misled the government and essentially did it for clicks and to claim credit in the event the investigations resulted in criminal charges, is just a really bad argument. Like, I'm sorry, but to me, it just does not make sense.
And the only blaming Logan and not the Cryptozoo team part isn't even a joke.
Setting aside the fact that Coffeezilla showed in response that he did, in fact, provide a bunch of information to the FBI about the entire Cryptozoo team, and that this included information about Jake Greenbaum and Eddie Ibanez, even if he didn't send that information to those guys, why would the government not look into the activities of the entire team if they suspected that even just one member of the team had maybe defrauded investors?
He is trying to frame himself innocent, like he doesn't know what happened, and he is trying to blame everyone else except himself.
You told me I couldn't say anything because Eddie was being investigated by the FBI and that was confidential information. It's all over the internet. I've been let on for a year, bro. I've also asked you to audit the contract for the game and see where the money went so many times, and that never happened either. Do you see how this looks?
I see how it looks.
What did you do?
Tried to help to get the project done. That's all I did.
I think there's a piece of information being left out.
Okay. Well, there's no information that I'm not telling you.
Yeah, okay, Logan is innocent now, I believe it. I mean, look at how mean he is to that guy. There is no way Logan is involved in all of this, because as you can clearly see here, he is telling them that they hid something from him and he had no idea about a project he sank $1 million+ into. Clearly bro is very innocent, free him right now. And just a fun fact, Coffee actually reported everyone, included his team and the people involved, not just Logan Paul. So this argument is invalid. Now comes the best part of the video. So recently Logan Paul filed a motion of confidentiality, trying to hide some information from leaking. Now what that information might be, I wonder. Maybe the fact that he is being investigated by the FBI and SEC. And the SEC is also thanking Coffeezilla for the proofs against a certain game. I don't know man, but I think the game they are mentioning might be Cryptozoo.
If Coffeezilla misled the government when he presented a whistleblower claim about Cryptozoo, how would that result in criminal charges? In order to get to the stage of criminal charges or civil penalties that he supposedly wants to be thanked for, according to this argument, there has to be enough legitimacy in Coffeezilla's whistleblower complaint to get to that result. And that would mean that whatever was in Coffeezilla's whistleblower complaint was not misleading the government.
Now Logan's argument in itself is idiotic because...
Now after this, she talks about how Logan is screwed either way because his argument just doesn't make sense. Because the only way Coffee would be able to raise his reputation by reporting Logan to the FBI was if Logan actually was a criminal and there was merit to his case. So basically, if Coffee reported Logan to the FBI and nothing actually came out of it, and Logan is completely innocent, then Coffee's reputation would actually go down for having a false flag, for basically getting the story wrong, right? His reputation would lower. So the only way to actually raise his reputation is being right about Logan.
Okay, so at this point I feel like Logan Paul is fighting against his own self. Like the defamation lawsuit is only legit if Coffeezilla is actually right about Cryptozoo. So Logan Paul basically just cannot win in this situation either way. And the best part is Coffeezilla is actually trying to report a lot of these scams to the FBI and SEC. So Logan isn't even special in this case. To top it all off, Coffeezilla is also trying to combine the investigation on Logan Paul with the defamation lawsuit because they are connected to each other. And it may actually happen because the defamation and investigation both are about Cryptozoo.
Because he is the plaintiff, he's the one that brought this case, Logan Paul kind of has to testify in the defamation trial against Coffeezilla if he's going to be successful. And if the plaintiff doesn't testify at trial, that creates a massive uphill battle for him. And when you look at the scope of what Logan Paul would have to testify about, absolutely the question of whether he actually defrauded Cryptozoo investors is going to come up. But if he does decide to testify in the defamation case, that is a massive risk because he's opening himself up to questioning that directly implicates potential criminal liability against him. Massive risk. Any lawyer looking at the situation would be waving all the red flags and being like, don't do it. Even if he thinks that he did nothing wrong, there's always a chance that he says something that says otherwise to the feds. And on the other hand, if he does invoke his Fifth Amendment rights and he refuses to testify, he protects himself somewhat on the potential federal criminal case front. But like I said before, he makes it that much harder to actually win this civil case.
And the hilarious part, Logan can't even testify in the lawsuit he himself caused. So basically, in short, he is cooked.
So basically, Logan is either gonna lose the case against Coffeezilla, or he's gonna try to defend himself by testifying and then implicate himself to the feds.
We all can sleep knowing that the man who destroyed me is getting destroyed by someone else. How he destroyed me, you ask? Well, I decided to invest all of my life savings and everything I owned into Cryptozoo. My wife said, don't do it. She tried to stop me, but I believed in Logan. And soon, I lost it all. So my wife left me along with the kids, and I lost my house. And since then, I have been living in this broken house for several months now. Damn you, Logan Paul. I know you're getting restless now. Don't worry, take my life away. But thanks for listening to this old man's ramblings. I can die peacefully, knowing that Logan Paul gonna suffer too. Tell my wife and kids that I loved them.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Like and subscribe if you're crying too right now.